The Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, located in central Ohio, about halfway between Columbus and Cleveland. It's one of the prettiest venues for auto racing in the entire United States. And today, it's the IndyCars of kart as they continue their season-long fight for the IndyCar World Championship. And at the top of that fight for the World Championship in the IndyCars is Emerson Fittipaldi. But in the past few races, he's stuttered just a bit. In fact, in the last three, he's only scored 3 points, so he certainly has his work cut out for him. Second in the points right now is Rick Mears. He could, in fact, overtake and pass Fittipaldi in this race today. Third in the points is Michael Andretti. He's a bit further back. He can't assume the lead today, but he certainly, with a good result here, could stay in the fight. And then there's Teo Fabi, the pole sitter here today, who still has a very real possibility of closing in and perhaps even coming away with the IndyCar World Championship before this season is done.
Taking a lap around the Mid-Ohio race course with Al Unser Jr. looking over his shoulder across the start-finish line, heading for turn 1 under the bridge. It's a left-hander, which is very quick from one side of the road out to the other, shifting gears down a short straightaway to the second and third turn, which is a kink to the right and into the left, and up to the carousel, which is a 180-degree loop. This is a notorious part of the course where a lot of the cars have gotten off in the past. Around this, you have to carry a lot of speed, shifting the gears, getting down the long back straightaway, the fastest portion of the course, at about 180 miles an hour. Going through the gears, you get in top gear, 5th or 6th gear here, depending on how it works. Down, hard braking into turn number 6, which is a right-hander, onto a short straightaway, heading for the twisty bits on the racetrack, as it were, up over a blind brow. Hard driving here, very slippery, it proves in practice. This is the part where you have to work very hard because you're shifting gears a lot, as you can hear, up over another blind brow, a very fast section of the race course. Short straightaway, another straightaway. You want to carry a lot of speed off of this turn so you can get to the other end as quick as you possibly can. The track probably has about 22 gear shifts around it. You're getting speeds from 50 miles an hour to 180 miles an hour. So you're busy all the way around. Here is the second carousel, a tight right-hander. You have to select the right gear, short straightaway, get in it very hard and back out onto the front straightaway, and there you have one lap of the Mid-Ohio race course.
15 turns, 9 to the right, 6 to the left, 2.4 miles around the circuit here at Mid-Ohio. Now let's go to the front row. Here's Jack Arute.
Paul, the pole-winning effort by Teo Fabi and the Porsche team is another milestone in their march towards their first victory ever in IndyCar competition. Now this time, as they won the pole in Portland, but this time they have scored the pole-winning position with some adversity. You see what happened in the practice session and in qualifying is Teo was involved in an altercation with Fabrizio Barbazza. They were forced to go to their backup car here. Very quickly they brought it up to speed and gathered in the pole-winning position today, so he'll start on the inside of the front row. Now many of the drivers say that this car has finally shown its mettle at Pocono International Raceway by being able to last almost the entire 500 miles. They say, too, that because of the narrowness of this racetrack, that this should be the key contender for a trip to victory lane.
Teo Fabi on the pole. Danny Sullivan will start alongside. The drivers are now in their cars, and we are ready for that most famous command in racing.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Down the line, each of the drivers concentrate on their tachometers, their oil pressures, making sure that everything is absolutely perfect in the cockpit, and begin to think about this 200-mile run that lies ahead, one that is so critical to the championship. Bobby Rahal, who, when he was with True Sports, knew this track so very well. This was their own private test facility. The pole sitter, Teo Fabi, as he looks ahead to the PPG pace cars, and we are ready to go racing. The cars are started. Let's take a look at the starting grid. The pole sitter is Teo Fabi, who won this event as a rookie in 1983. Danny Sullivan has never finished worse than 5th here. He's also never won. Al Unser Jr. is looking for his 10th career win and first road course victory. Emerson Fittipaldi, the points leader, is also the defending champion here. Bobby Rahal won this race in 1985 and 86. Rick Mears finished 3rd here 1 year ago. Scott Pruitt finished 2nd at Detroit, losing the lead with just 5 laps to go. Michael Andretti has won 2 of the last 3 kart events. Derek Daly has his best qualifying effort here. Ari Lyondike has 7 top 10 finishes this year, including a 3rd at Portland. Mario Andretti won here in 1984. Scott Brayton is making his first start here in 5 years. Didier Taze is in his first drive in the Vince Granatelli car. John Jones, his best career effort was here, a 7th a year ago. Ludwig Heimrath Jr., another Canadian, back full-time after breaking his ribs in June. Roberto Guerrero in the Alfa, the 1987 winner of this race. Pancho Carter drove here in the very first event in 1980. Raul Boesel, a Brazilian, finished 6th here a year ago. Kevin Kogan, his best finish was 4th in 1986. Jeff Wood has 3 top 10 finishes in 9 career road racing starts. Bernard Jourdain, leading candidate for Rookie of the Year honors. Mark Dismore, making his first IndyCar World Series start. Randy Lewis, a 7-year veteran, hoping for a good day. Fabrizio Barbaza finished 8th in his most recent start at Toronto. A.J. Foyt, only 3 of his 67 career victories have been on road courses. Guido Dacco is currently 2nd in the 1989 rookie crop. Steve Saleen, making his 5th IndyCar appearance. And Fulvio Palavio, an Italian, making only his 2nd start in 1989. Magnificent crowd here today. 28 Indy cars ready to go. All of the cars are strung out on this first carousel on the circuit, but they begin already to form up, and it looks like we are set to go racing. The field, Danny Sullivan to the outside, Teo Fabi to the inside, begins to pick up speed. The first 4 rows somewhat separated from the rest of the field as they came off of that carousel. Nick Finoro with the green flag. Teo Fabi moves into the lead, and already we are racing now. On lap number 4 for record keeping. This is the 4th lap of the race. Teo Fabi pulls away a bit from Danny Sullivan, but Sullivan in the Miller High Life car is right there running in 2nd place. 3rd place is Al Unser Jr., followed by the points leader Emerson Fittipaldi.
This is a very critical time, Paul, because they've got cold tires. They've had a chance to go around. They picked up a little bit of debris on the tires, so they're scuffing it off, and they're all underway, and it looks good.
And there is one car off. That's Barbaza. Looks like he slid where he got there. The grass is down to the left of the car, and no indication that that engine is running. As back at the front of the field, the fight continues. Sullivan set himself up once again. I wonder if he's not telling Teo, I might try here, and then we'll see a little shift in another lap or 2, and he goes around the other side.
Well, Paul, it's my guess that that is the place where the Chevrolet can do it with its extra bit of power that it has on those long straightaways. The Chevrolets are very good, have long legs on those long straightaways, so he's just sitting there hammering and saying, look, I can try you here, I can try you here. Teo will most certainly be watching his mirrors at the end of that straightaway where Sullivan has the advantage.
Danny Sullivan feeling very good after his victory in the Pocono 500. Pacing Teo Fabi, we see the rest of the field now. There's the 20 car of Emerson Fittipaldi. And Bobby Rahal is now beginning to close down on Rick Mears. Rahal in that Craco machine, that bright blue and yellow machine, now trying to catch up to the Pennzoil car of Rick Mears. That's Rick lying just ahead, who is looking for his first win in one very long time on a road course. But Rick really thinks that he is capable of doing it, and I tend to agree. He looked so strong at Portland earlier this year. The pit of Teo Fabi. Jack Arute standing there keeping an eye on their telemetry downlink. They can keep track of what's going on in that car through telemetry that the car is transmitting directly to the pits. That is also true for the first time this weekend on the Penske cars. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Paul, that telemetry which you're able to monitor here in the Porsche pit may have enabled the team to make some adjustments that if you didn't have this real-time analysis, you wouldn't have been able to do. Those caution laps, based upon what was read out by the computer, they radioed to Teo to lean the car out, to run a little bit leaner because they were running slower. They felt that could increase their fuel consumption before this first stop. They had originally intended to pit around lap 27. Now they're saying they could go as far as lap 30 or so before they have to come on pit road. So we've seen computerization maybe come into play here.
There's an example certainly of how the computer and the telemetry is working for the Porsche team. The Penske team running exactly this, not exactly, but a similar situation that can even tell them when the fuel light flickers on in the race car as they watch both Danny Sullivan's car and Rick Mears' car. Teo Fabi, the leader of the race in the Quaker State Porsche. The Miller High Life car of Danny Sullivan runs in second. We're back at the Red Roof Inns 200 from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, about halfway between Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio. The leader of the race is Teo Fabi in that Porsche-powered machine, being followed by Danny Sullivan. That's the way they started this event. Teo on the pole, Sullivan to the outside. Al Unser Jr. has moved into the third position, and the leaders now begin to encounter the slower car, Fabrizio Barbazza. He had a spin earlier on, was able to get the car restarted. Now the leaders have the job of winding their way about. The first two cars have separated just a bit from Al Unser Jr. And then is Emerson Fittipaldi, who has had his problems trying to close in. They have remained fairly static for the first laps of this race.
Danny has tried Teo on 2 or 3 occasions at the end of the long straightaway, where I said the Chevrolet has the advantage, a little bit more muscle, as it were. He's not been able to do it, and Teo is running a strong race.
Teo Fabi's been running a fairly strong and consistent season. In the last 8 events, he's finished in the top 4 on 7 different occasions. So he is having a good run, and that kind of consistency is keeping him definitely alive in the points fight. Danny Sullivan, on the other hand, could be a spoiler in the points fight. He really, and we got through it with a quick spin. You saw one of the Andretti cars go past there. He's right on the edge of the course.
Look, he's high-centered, Paul, and he can't get the car going. He just spins the rear wheels, and they're going to have to get out and push him. Here comes some workers now to give him a little aid, trying to get him off of that bump strip system there. They can't quite get it done, and there, I don't blame them. I wouldn't go out there either with the cars running that close, that fast.
Of course, marshals are all volunteers, and they don't have to run out there when it's dangerous, and when cars are coming by, they hesitate. Nice big course like this, there'll be plenty of opportunity for them to get out and push that car when there aren't other race cars coming past. On the other hand, if you're sitting there and you're Scott Pruitt, you want to get those marshals over there.
For sure. Let's go.
Continues his lead. He's out in front by just about a full second now over Danny Sullivan as they came across the line on the pit straight just a few moments ago.
But Teo is able to go a little quicker through this twisty part of the racetrack than Danny is, and of course Danny has that arm, and we don't know whether he's favoring it any at all.
Well, Danny was concerned about how 84 laps on this circuit might be on that right arm of his. He's still, of course, feeling some of the break that he suffered at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's go back and take a look at the situation with Scott Pruitt when he got it off the course. Remember, he carries one of our onboard cameras.
Here he goes to the road. Look, he just got loose. It just went around with him. That's that slick spot on the racetrack we talked about earlier. The fact that he just looped it right there and slid around.
And a second car off. Looks like it may have caught an edge of the barrier, gotten sideways. And that's a lot of light vapor, which means water from the turbocharger. Guido Dacco climbs out of his car, and it looks like his day is done. Speculation, John.
I would think so. It's, you know, either he had a problem and it spun him into that, or he lost it and spun and got into the barrier. Of course, when you back them up like that, it moves a little oil through the turbo, and that's what we see burning.
So Al Unser Jr. has managed to move into second place, getting around Danny Sullivan, and begins his pursuit now of the Quaker State car of Teo Fabi. Now, look at the back of the line there. There is Guido Dacco, that number 50 car, and the engine just simply lets go, and he's able to recognize it quickly and get it off the course before it put too much oil down.
Well, yes, it was quite obvious there. He's walking back to the pits. That's a long walk when you're out there racing, Paul, and it's not a lot of fun.
Now Teo Fabi trying to hold off a charging Al Unser Jr. in the Red Roof 200. Little Al set up right behind Fabi, who has led from the green flag. The battle here is for third place as Danny Sullivan, dropping back into that third position, now has to hold off. A like engine and chassis design being handled by Emerson Fittipaldi. 2 Indianapolis 500 champions now working on one another here. Danny Sullivan using every inch of that circuit, running the wheels off just a little bit. It's not a problem as long as you don't get them too far off, and then the car takes off sailing across the course. I might mention, it was in this part of the course that you saw in the early part of our telecast the Teo Fabi incident from the qualifying sessions where he bounced across and nearly hit Scott Pruitt head on. They, in an overnight construction, decided they were going to try to put some gravel in there to create an area that they would slow. As we take a look at Teo Fabi, or at Emerson Fittipaldi, and he ducks inside of Danny Sullivan, picks up third place.
Now, I wonder if Danny's having a problem with that arm already on this course. This is a very demanding course, and the gear shifting and the working, I would say probably not, but that might be the case.
On the other hand, he may be just trying to relax himself as well, decide maybe he can hold off a little bit for the late going. Well, there is Rick Mears, and he is being chased by Michael Andretti. This is a battle for 6th place as Michael closes in, and it's really beginning to worry Mears.
He closed down, and he ran very deep into that turn. Look at him. He's able to carry it a little bit deeper than Mears is, and that is really something to watch because he is taking the car to the 10/10ths.
Kmart Haviland car number 6. That is Michael Andretti. And these are two contenders certainly in the points fight. Back at the front of the field once again. Teo Fabi continues to try to hold off Al Unser Jr. The fight continues between Rick Mears and Michael Andretti as Michael sitting right up on the back door of Mears now. They come to that long stretch. Because of this long straightaway, the carousel they just left is the most critical corner of the race course. They have to execute it perfectly so that they can pull to top speed near 180 miles an hour on this section.
Yes, and you can watch now and see Michael close. See how he pulls. He's going to try it. He does it. He gets on the inside and makes a pass.
Boy, he really came down on the inside, jumped all over the brakes. Is the car handling that much better? Is that just a gutsy move?
Evidently. It was a little bit of everything because I would have thought coming down the straightaway with the space between them, there's no way that Michael would try that. But he did and got away with it.
On board with Al Unser Jr. And one car comes off of the course, looks to be Heimrath. Comes off right at the end of that long straightaway. It is Heimrath. And this man, the 8 car, Teo Fabi, has been handling traffic masterfully for the past several laps, getting past car after car and forcing Al Unser Jr. to fight even harder to try to keep with this battle for the lead. Just ahead is the Amway car. That's Scott Brayton. As Teo Fabi comes off the edge of the course trying to get past. And there is Al Unser Jr. He pulls to the inside. Now they have a drag race going. Will this be the first lead change of the race? Teo Fabi nails the throttle and is able to take the lead once again, but they were side by side for a moment.
Boy, that was really exciting. Scott Brayton obviously didn't see Teo and ran him off of the road, and he was able to maintain control, came back on, but Al Unser had the chance to get in the throttle and make the run up beside him. Teo was able to go, so that proves that the Porsche does have some strength. There we saw a little shaking of the fist from Teo Fabi.
Now Al Unser Jr. tries to come inside of Scott Brayton. Same situation as Scotty makes the car a little bit wider. That's Scotty's United car running just ahead of Al Unser Jr. And if you look a bit further, you'll see that Teo is now beginning to get away, and they're on a critical corner. This is the key corner on the course because it is a slow corner leading to the fastest section of the course. Now Al Unser Jr. begins to run the revs up. The tachometer will approach 12,000 RPM as he comes alongside Scott Brayton, threads the needle. Whoa!
That was close.
And Emerson Fittipaldi takes advantage of the situation, closes in, and gets past Brayton as well.
Yes, and Brayton had to move over and let some other cars by. I think Didier Thays got by in the SDP car.
So Teo Fabi challenged for a moment for the lead. Now that battle is broken off, but Al Unser Jr. almost had it, but we got a display of that new Porsche engine. They've revamped the engine since the Michigan 500, and it's showing some nice power.
Now we'll get a chance to see how strong Al is and whether or not he can close the gap back up without any problem.
Now Teo Fabi continuing to encounter other cars on the circuit as he works his way around. That's Ari Leyendijk, the Provimi car just ahead. There is A.J. Foyt, the famous number 14. They called him in for a routine stop, and Foyt rolls back into the action as he heads his way down. And the leader, Teo Fabi, makes for the pits as Foyt heads out. There is the Quaker State crew now going to work. Let's go to Jack.
And Derek Walker is leading the Quaker State crew. They've gone to work changing all 4 tires and taking on a full load of fuel. Second place car is in as well as they drop Fabi. Let's check in with Gary Gerald.
And that's little Al Unser, and both of them are away at the same time. They dodge around the tires. Unser got it sideways on pit road, but he saved it. He almost smacked the right rear against the guardrail. And I'm amazed at the amount of brake dust that's coming out of these rear wheels as they pull them back over the wall, Paul.
So as a result of those stops, Danny Sullivan picks up the lead of the race. For a moment, Emerson Fittipaldi had the lead for about 150 feet in the pits. He on the pit lane actually beats Sullivan to the line. And there is Mario Andretti in the pits making his stop as well.
It was very interesting to see Emerson Fittipaldi fall right in behind that pack of the 2 cars of Teo Fabi and Al Unser Jr. as they went out. So the 3 top cars got out together in the same order they were running when they came in.
Generally, the rule that you guys follow is if the leader goes in, you want to try and follow it.
Definitely, unless you're back in the pack where you have to catch the pace car and maintain to be able to not lose a lap, then you do want to. If you're running second or third and you're within sight of the leader and your crew yells, "The leader's in," you go in immediately.
Well, you can yell that right now because the leader, Danny Sullivan, is indeed into the pits, and the Penske crew goes to work on this machine. Let's go to Gary.
Danny Sullivan getting the routine service for the first time, had that lead for 1 lap. It's the usual fresh rubber. It's 40 gallons of fuel and 264 pounds. He lights up the rear end, burns away from the Penske pit. Now it'll be interesting to see where he matches up with the front runners who made their stops on the previous lap.
Well, there is Danny Sullivan, and you see there goes Teo Fabi past Al Unser Jr., so right back to the same order. Teo Fabi picks the lead up again after the first pit stops are complete here at Mid-Ohio. Out in front, Teo Fabi. As he tries on the inside, Al Unser Jr. tries a move, but Teo Fabi comes across and slams the door again. But Al has been working his way up, trying to find a position of advantage right behind Fabi. There are only a couple places on this course that you really can successfully get past. You have to be very careful. You're not in one of them right now. As Fabi works to the second longest straightaway on this track, Al Unser Jr. drops right back, continues to watch the positioning of the Porsche car sitting just ahead. We're approaching the halfway point in this race. 38 laps are complete. Here is the fight now for third place. Danny Sullivan and Emerson Fittipaldi as they continue to follow one another around the circuit. From time to time, Sullivan will pull up at the back of Fittipaldi's car, but for the most part, Fittipaldi has been able to hold off Sullivan as well.
Yes, I think here we're seeing Emerson just having a nice smooth ride and not really jeopardizing anything, because he knows that if he finishes and makes those precious points running up front, that he will have the championship when it's all over.
Teo Fabi, the Quaker State Porsche, is being chased by Al Unser Jr., but for the moment, he has the Provimi car of Arie Luyendyk, and just ahead of Al Unser Jr., that 21 car, the bright red machine, is the Alfa Romeo of Roberto Guerrero, a car that they are developing this year, and Roberto wisely moves to the outside and lets the second-place car, the Valvoline machine of Al Unser Jr., move past. Teo Fabi is the leader. Back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Paul Page with Johnny Rutherford, Gary Gerald, and Jack Arud. We're watching Scott Pruitt and Mario Andretti. Now, it's not a battle for position, but it's a marvelous fight on this circuit as both cars come inside Steve Saleen. They're ahead. That's Mario from the onboard camera on Scott Pruitt's car. Mario is running in 7th. Pruitt is another lap back, running in 12th place. But the two of them have been hooked up, trying to catch one another. Here is Al Unser Jr. as he tries to get inside Teo Fabi and pick up the lead. He has the lead. Al Unser Jr. makes a move on that long straightaway, darts inside Teo Fabi, picks up the lead of the race. So the lead has changed hands now for a 4th time, and now it's Al Unser Jr.
Well, I guess that answers our question. Al Unser Jr. was just waiting back there for his opportunity. Now he's going to make Teo do the same thing he's been doing all day.
That Toshiba car just ahead is Randy Lewis. And Al Unser Jr. gets bottled up behind him. That lets Teo move right in behind as well, not lose any distance. And there is Shelly Unser, and she's going to see her husband come around. There she does. The first time she's seen him as the leader of the race. But boy, the fight at the front of the field does continue. Teo Fabi wasn't happy about that pass. And as they go through the first turn, back in pursuit. Now down through the second and third corner, heading for the carousel.
There's the rearward shot. Boy, fantastic shot of Fabi's car, closing right up behind through the carousel. Now we'll see what the Porsche has down the straightaway. Up, Al got away. That's the muscle off of the turn. Able to get the throttle down, get the power to the ground, and make it happen.
He got a good solid bite a little bit earlier on in the corner. Well, it looks like a curve there. It is really a straightaway to the race cars. Now they're down on the brakes, slamming down through the gears into the right-hander, then an off-cambered left-hander. Very difficult turn to get around, especially once this track gets slick, but the circuit really seems to be holding up very well. The Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. There is the leader of the race, Al Unser Jr. He just picked up the lead a few laps ago. It is the 4th lead change of the day, but the first time that anyone substantively got past Teo Fabi. This is that action just a few moments ago. It was on the long straightaway, leading to the right-hander on the backside of the course. He was able, under braking, to force his way past the Porsche of Teo Fabi and pick up the lead. Once he did so, He's been able to use the power of that Chevrolet engine to pull away a bit from the Porsche, so the Valvoline car is out in front at Mid-Ohio. Here, there is Rick Mears making his stop in the 4 car, that Pennzoil machine as well. And this appears to be going routinely and smooth for the Penske team. This car due to stop, but continues on the pit straight once again. Al Unser Jr. out in front, but the second place car, Teo Fabi, heads down into the pits. So Peter Parrott, that crew is there. Let's go to Gary.
Well, we're in the Al Unser Jr. pit. We're 1 pit away, but it looks routine from our vantage point, Paul. There's fresh rubber for Teo Fabi. We checked with Eric Walker. He said they would not change anything on the setup. They like the setup, and he is away. It's just fresh tires and fuel for Teo Fabi. Now we await Al Unser Jr.
1 car off the edge of the circuit looks to be John Jones, the Labatt's machine. He gets it back on the course. A quick little spin taking him off.
He killed it as he came back on the course, and that is a shame because you feel very, very lucky if you can catch one of these things when you spin it off of the course and save the engine.
Fittipaldi is in. Let's go to Jackaroo.
And Paul, they're working on Emerson Fittipaldi's pit stop. He thought he had a tire going down, but he elected to stay out an additional 2 laps and take a scheduled stop.
Seeing Al Unser Jr. come in, it's a slower car in front of him, so he's now pulling in and making his stop. We see from the over-the-shoulder camera there, he's made the stop.
Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, he hit the mark cleanly, and again, Rick Gallus, the man who calls the shots for this team, said they like the setup. Obvious when you're running up front, so it's fuel and tires. Junior, the man who won on the streets at Long Beach this year, looking for his 2nd victory. He's away. Fabi coming toward the front straightaway. It may be close when they merge down near the bridge, Paul.
Al Unser Jr. comes out of the pits right behind Jones. Not close at all. Al Unser Jr. keeps the lead. There goes Fabi through the corner. So Fabi now has a job ahead of him if he is going to catch Al Unser Jr. Little Al came out a good 5-6 seconds ahead of Teo Fabi. But now it's a sprint to the finish.
See, that was a chance that he had to take. Teo wanted to get in and get his pit stop done, so maybe that he could pull this off and stay ahead of Al Unser.
But John Jones just figured into the action as he was able to slow up Al Unser Jr. And now Teo is right at the back door and going to try to get past on the long stretch. Once again, we have a drag race going. And Teo Fabi sweeps across the front of Al Unser Jr. and picks up the lead.
Fantastic move by Teo Fabi. He's obviously working extremely well. His car, they said they didn't change a thing on it, just took on tires and fuel. He is ready to go racing, folks, and this may be Porsche's first victory.
I'll tell you what, you'll ask Teo Fabi, what do you like best in racing? He says, I love to go fast. Well, that's a straightaway, the fastest straightaway here, near 180 miles an hour, where you're looking over the crest of a hill, and all you see is the woods out in front of you. It takes a lot of guts to slam the brakes down and get past somebody there. Let's go to Jackaroo.
Paul, Bobby Rahal has gone from race car driver to father, holding his daughter Michaela in his arms. Bobby, what put you out of the race?
Well, it's something associated with the wastegate. It's almost like it blew a diaphragm because it would just overboost and it blows a valve. And actually, in this case, it stuck the throttle open, too, so I'm not sure 100% what happened, but it's something to do with the wastegate.
Pretty long walk back to pit road, though.
Disappointing. We were running strong. We were staying with the Chevys, and the car was handling good. Just unfortunate.
Michaela, who's your favorite race car driver? I think that says it all, gentlemen.
Yeah, but boy, that was risky, Jack. What if she came up with the wrong answer?
Wouldn't have been my problem. It would have been Bobby's.
At the front of the field, it is now Teo Fabi once again. The fight continues. Al Unser Jr., once Teo got past, dropped back just a bit to reconsider his position. Now let's take a look at the entire field here at 50 laps. Now we're at lap 59 right now, but this was the positioning as they were running at 50 laps. We'll keep you up to date on everybody in this field. Of course, now, though, Teo Fabi is out in front. Kevin Cogan, the machinist car, with a great ride, though the machinists say that they are going to discontinue their racing on the kart circuit at the end of this season. So they say they will probably make an appearance at the Indianapolis 500-mile race. The entire field, 28 starters here. 200 miles, 200.5 miles, 84 laps the distance. And that was the rundown at 50 laps. 60 laps are now complete. Emerson Fittipaldi, a Penske PC-18, Chevrolet powered. An identical car in design behind them, but in preparation. These cars are really widely different. Rick Mears is running in 6th place right now. And again, using that long straightaway, Fabi is able to get past and continue his lead. He's now pulled a full 7 seconds away from the second place car of Al Unser Jr. The third place car is Michael Andretti, who has been very careful, very consistent here today. Fourth place is Emerson Fittipaldi, who is trying to hold off Danny Sullivan. And then, of course, Rick Mears.
It's incredible that the Porsche looks really good today. It's not to be denied.
Well, the report comes now that Scott Pruitt's car has been withdrawn. They have an engine problem as well, so the True Sports entry is out of competition. A car that has been quite dominant on this circuit in past years. There, interesting little battle developing. Michael Andretti with Emerson Fittipaldi closing in just behind. The fight is for third place. Danny Sullivan closing in behind Emo. Not on your picture at the moment. You can see him at the back edge of the screen. Now Fittipaldi closes down on Michael Andretti. The fight for third. Two different chassis here. The Lola of Michael Andretti out in front, Chevrolet powered. The PC-18 of Emerson Fittipaldi in the Marlboro car.
Emerson is staying glued right to him so he can take the opportunity when it comes to make the pass if he can. But it's not going to be easy with Michael, I can assure you.
Michael Andretti has had a terrific year. I think he may at this moment, in fact, be one of the best drivers, if not the best driver on the circuit. He's worked with that car. It has not been performing as good as he would like it to, but he certainly is driving it very, very well. It's tough to beat the Penske PC-18s. They have been dominant all season long. But for the moment, Michael Andretti is able to keep Emerson Fittipaldi back, and Danny Sullivan, running in fifth place, continues his pursuit of Fittipaldi.
Yes, this is a real dogfight for this position, but Sullivan's sitting back there, and like we alluded earlier, he may just be kind of cruising. I wouldn't think so, because he would want to be a lot tighter and take the opportunity to pass if he could. But I'm sure Danny's doing all he can under the circumstances, and who knows, the arm might be a problem.
It's a great day for racing and a terrific race here at Mid-Ohio. Emerson Fittipaldi has watched his point lead shrink. In fact, he scored only 3 points in the last 3 races. Ask him about that problem.
I'm really concerned, and I know that 4 races to go, we still have 80 points available to anybody, even more. If you get pulled and lead most laps of the race, there'll be 8 points available for the championship. And you know, I see a lot of competition from Rick and from Michael. They are there, and we just hope we can finish the next 4 races, finish well.
Emerson Fittipaldi, the 4th place machine, trying to take 3rd place away from Michael Andretti. There is Kevin Kogan. You saw him pass through the frame as well. He started 19th. He's up running in 10th place right now. Here's Gary Gerald.
I'll try to update you on the Penske program. You mentioned Danny Sullivan in 5th, Rick Mears down a lap in the number 6 spot. No specific problems for either one of the drivers. They did not affect any changes relating to the setup on the last pit stop. No complaints from Danny on the radio regarding the arm. Interesting to note, this is the 6th year that he's run here. 4 times he started in the front row, and never in the past has he finished any worse than 5th. That's where he's running right now, but he's never won here at this racetrack. Got to make up some ground. Mears, meanwhile, just soldiering away, hoping to get as many points.
We're back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The Red Roof Inns 200 as Teo Fabi overhauls Silvio Bellavio, one of the back markers in this field, and continues to pull away from everyone else in the field, now with a full 14-second lead over the 2nd place car of Al Unser Jr. Emerson Fittipaldi currently runs in 4th place. He's trying to catch the 3rd place car of Michael Andretti. And Danny Sullivan has been sitting back. You can see him coming onto the pit straight right now behind Emerson Fittipaldi. Sullivan runs in 5th, trying to catch Fittipaldi. And then Sullivan's teammate Rick Mears sits back in 6th. And Mario Andretti is 7th, Derek Daly 8th, Ari Leyendyk 9th, and Kevin Kogan is running 10th. Well, the leader of the race is Teo Fabi. He's dominated this race here, picking up a point for the pole, now a point for leading the most laps, and picking up the average speed as well, 103 miles an hour. But the race record is 107.4, held by Roberto Guerrero. Full course caution at the start of the race. Well, they got Pancho Carter off the track. We've had 4 different leaders, 5 different lead changes. 18 cars are still running, and 6 of those cars are on the lead left of this race, and out in front is Teo Fabi. Here are the cars that are out of competition thus far. It's been a hard day, though, mostly on engine and power plant combinations. We've had no major incidents in this race at all. Some spins off the course, but no hard contact here. All drivers are well and safe to this point. Teo Fabi now with 14 seconds out over the second place car of Al Unser Jr. Let's go to the pits in Jackaroo.
Paul, through the magic of television, we're giving a view from inside a helmet of what a driver looks like in terms of visibility, what he sees out on the racetrack. You see how occluded it is? That's why they use tearaways, so that then they can have a clear view. What they do is they take their helmet and they take these small Lexan plastic pieces here and they lay them up against their visor this way. Then through the course of the race, they're able to tear them off and get a clearer view of what's directly in front of them. This is just one of the techniques that they use when they're racing, even in the best of conditions. Let's check in with Gary Gerald.
Jack, the man who is anxiously checking the stopwatch, listening to the radio, Derek Walker, the team manager for Porsche. You're closing in possibly on the moment that you've been looking forward to. You must be happy with the way the car's working at this point.
Yeah, extremely well. Yeah, it's running fine, but the race isn't over yet, so we're anxious for the end.
What are the concerns for you, Derek, and is fuel one of them?
Well, just there's a lot of traffic still out there and conditions aren't any better, so you've just, got to stay out of trouble and obviously making sure we've done our homework and we've got enough fuel to go the distance.
If you're able to get it, what would this victory, what would it mean to get the first one for the Porsche program after this long, hard trek?
Well, just be just reward, I guess, after such a struggle.
You can feel the anticipation building down here as they inch closer to it, Paul.
Derek Walker, who left the general managership at Penske to come over with this new effort with Al Holbert, and then Holbert's untimely death last year. What a marvelous tribute to Porsche if they can get this job done here today. Michael Andretti in third place, but Emerson Fittipaldi is closing in.
Yes, this is the dogfight of the race right now, because Emerson is sitting there pushing. He knows he wants to finish in one of those top point spots. Michael has got to finish better than him to get more points.
Surprise, and at the last second, Teo Fabi, the leader of the race, comes in for what they say will be a splash of fuel for the Porsche. Here is Gary Gerald.
They didn't get all the fuel in on the last regular stop, so they had to bring him back. Disappointment after all of that optimism. It was a splash and go. He's gone, but was the lead that he had over Little Al big enough? We're about to find out right now.
A 7-second stop. Al Unser Jr. comes screaming through the first turn behind Teo Fabi. Fabi beat him to the pit exit road and maintains the lead of the race. But it did close the interval down to about 9 seconds. So Teo Fabi in and out of the pits. The crew really did a spectacular job. Teo got that car stopped right on the mark, which is critical to the refueling because the hose only stretches so far. Did a superlative job and maintains his lead. But Al Unser Jr. has been able to close in as a result.
Oh, the key to that was the fact that Teo had run hard enough to open up the gap, and it gave him the chance to do just what he did. So now he's back in the lead. Al Unser, though, is much closer than he was, can probably see Teo. He's going to be pushing real hard to try to catch him.
And there is the argument against relaxing when you're out in front of the field. You still have to go hard. You just might need it, as he did there.
Oh, you've got to. There's no doubt about that. You have to run as hard as you can from flag to flag in one of these things.
Looking ahead from the second place car, the Valvoline machine of Al Unser Jr., it is a clear circuit. He does not have the target of Teo Fabi in sight. Perhaps on the long stretch, he can just catch a glimpse because Teo is a full 9 seconds ahead of him. There's the 6 car. That's Michael Andretti running in third. Emerson Fittipaldi just behind, trying to handle up Jeff Wood's car, and there is Fittipaldi around Wood and now trying to close on Michael Andretti. Back now in the closing laps of the Red Roof Inns 200 at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I'm Paul Page with Johnny Rutherford, the very first winner of the IndyCar races here back in 1980. And Johnny, we're watching what may be a new name go into the record books at Mid-Ohio, and that is Teo Fabi. And a spectacular achievement, not just for the driver, but for the team and the development people at Porsche. There's the second place car, Al Unser Jr. He is about 10 seconds back. On the roll-up out of the pits when Teo Fabi made the stop for fuel, he was able to close to within about 5 seconds of Fabi. But then Fabi was able to roll back away with performances like you just saw as he moved around the machinist car of Kevin Kogan, a team that says they will no longer be racing with CART at the end of this season. Kogan is in 10th place, though. He started 19th in this field of 28. At the front of the field is the Quaker State Porsche of Teo Fabi. His last win came in 1983, the closing race of the season at Phoenix. He had a spectacular outside pass where he just up and rimmed the whole racetrack 33 races ago for the young Italian. Well, he may be on his way to victory once again, but Al Unser Jr. still may have something to say about it, though it seems unlikely. Little Al is in second place. Michael Andretti is running about 22 seconds behind the leader, with Emerson Fittipaldi and Danny Sullivan lined up just behind in what may, before this race is over, develop into a good battle for third place. And there is Mario Andretti, who is running in 7th place behind the 6th place car of Rick Mears. R.A. Lyondike rides in 8th place, followed by Derek Daly and then Kogan. There is Michael Andretti.
Don't you know you could cut the anticipation in the Quaker State pit with a knife right now?
Well, it'll solve so many problems for them. Let's go to the pits and Jack Arute.
Paul, we caught up with Al Unser Jr.'s spare helmet here, and you notice on the back it says PARD, P-A-R-D. We just thought we'd let people know what it stands for. You see, Rick Galla says it stands for preparation, appearance, results, and detail. He says if you connect all those things together, you will be successful in IndyCar racing. So all of his pit equipment and his driver's driver uniform carry the designation of PARD.
On board with Al Unser Jr. as he works his way around in 2nd place. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
And look at the faces along this pit wall, Paul Page. You can feel the moment inching closer. Teo Fabi, who won here in Can-Am in 1982. In 1983, as an Indy rookie out of nowhere, he won for the Forsyth brothers. 2 years ago, Porsche put its first IndyCar on the track at Laguna Seca. And maybe now, this is going to be the day that they've been waiting for so very, very long. And you can feel it from Derek Walker to Tony Cicali to every member of this team here as they inch closer and closer. And just all but biting their fingernails. It's one of those special moments, I think, in IndyCar racing, or for that matter, in all of sports.
I'm not sure that Derek Walker will believe it if, in fact, it happens. Yesterday, when I talked to him about it, he said, well, perhaps before the season is over, but I'm not really sure. It may be happening even as we speak. Al Unser Jr. continues to chase in 2nd place, but he is a full 10 seconds behind the leader. And what problems will this solve for that team? Well, there was conversation as recently as several weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that Porsche may not continue this effort in the Indy cars. Perhaps the new management in Stuttgart were not seeing the results that they were looking for, and it wasn't beneficial to the program. Well, the white flag comes out on the Quaker State Porsche. We'll see how beneficial it is now. Interestingly enough, yesterday Porsche said we will continue with at least a one-car effort through next year. Well, this is the reward they're about to get as Al Unser Jr. in 2nd place. His wife, Shelley, she watches from the position on the pit straight on their scoring stand. And Teo Fabi has now only to negotiate about 12 more turns ahead of him. On that long straightaway, 180 miles an hour.
I don't think there's any denying the Porsche today. They have run flawlessly. Even in their little quick pit stop they had to make at the end, it's all worked out for them, and Teo is doing a tremendous job and has a magnificent car under him.
Well, they've overcome. Remember, they had the accident in the qualifying session, cut the corner off of the car. They ran back, drug out the backup car, which is the machine he's in now, put it right back out on the circuit, got back into the qualifying, qualified the car on the pole, and then in the race itself, just a few laps ago, they didn't get a full fuel load. They had to come in for a quick splash of fuel, and in doing that, they're able to maintain the lead of the race and are now on the final lap.
There is fixing to be bedlam in the Porsche pit. He is making the last turn, Paul, coming down for the checkered flag. They are going to go crazy.
And on the pit straight, the checkered flag comes out for the Quaker State Porsche and Teo Fabi. Porsche has done it at Mid-Ohio. They have scored their first victory in the IndyCar. Derek Walker receives the congratulations from the crew. Teo Fabi begins to wave to the crowd, and the crowd is loving it. They recognize the significance of this moment. There is now another engine, another combination in the IndyCars. This series continues its excitement. Tony Cicali in the blue sweater, one of the aerodynamicists on the car, has helped make this car go so quickly. Teo Fabi has scored his first victory in the IndyCar since 1983.
And they only have tonight to be able to celebrate, because I can assure you they will be flat out ready for getting for the race next weekend, which is doesn't give them much time to celebrate, but they'll probably be thinking, let's go after number 2.
As the gentleman he is, Al Unser Jr. pulled up alongside Teo and gave him a wave, congratulating him on his victory as Al Unser Jr. finishes in second place. But Teo Fabi is the winner at Mid-Ohio.
Teo Fabi taking the helmet off, getting the congratulations of his entire crew here. History has been made at Mid-Ohio Racecourse, where Fabi has come home victorious for the first time with Porsche power. Teo, congratulations. A fine ride of historic proportions.
Thank you. I think it was a very good race. Very difficult at the end because we have to make an extra stop. But car ran very well.
When you had to come in for that final stop because you didn't take the full load of fuel, did you ever have any doubts that you were maybe going to lose the lead?
Well, for sure, when they told me I had to come in another time, I said, well, the race is lost. But you know, I kept pushing, and I was able to gain 22nd on Al Jr., which were enough to make an extra stop.
Well, he is victorious for the first time with Porsche power. Let's check in with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, Jack, right next door, here's the man who's second, Al Unser Jr. I understand the car was a little bit loose, not the easiest to drive today.
No, it was just a little bit loose. You know, Teo had a lot better grip in the rear end than I did, and I knew that when I was following him. I was going sideways when he was going straight. I tried to put as much pressure on him as I could to try to get his tires to go off. The more pressure I tried to put on him, the more my tires went off, and so that's what happened. And they congratulations to him because they earned it.
Al Unser Jr. finished second, 6.5 seconds back from Teo Fabi, but Porsche power wins at Mid-Ohio as we take a look at the top 10 here. And as a result of this finish, it is Emerson Fittipaldi that will lead in the points fight right now in the PPG IndyCar World Series, followed by Rick Mears, and then a tie between Teo Fabi and Michael Andretti. Al Unser Jr. is in 5th place right now, but the fight is getting very